Hello and welcome to another episode of Triple Tap. We are so glad that you here are joining us. Just let me make sure I've got everyone coming into the room, turned off our waiting room. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Triple Tap episode number 35. And I know you guys missed us last week and we missed you. And we are thrilled to be back for another episode. And you guys, if you're following the screen, you're probably noticing a new face on the screen tonight. So we'd like to welcome our newest member to Tap, Jeff Masters. Welcome, Jeff, to Triple Tap. And of course, welcome, Kent. How have you guys been? We're just going to have a quick, as we do, round the table. How have you been before we get started and before I introduce our amazing speaker this evening?
You go first, Jeff.
Yeah, no, it's been a busy, as every week's been a busy week. Spoke to a couple more tribal nations, Goangali and Wangi Praderie from the Yatmatang. He's actually going through his documentation now, so that's good. Got an invite from the Cooragee, down here, Santa Point. They call it Survival Day for Thursday. So that's how they tackle the day, and they have a ceremony on the day. So I'll hopefully be able to get to that as well. So it's been a good week, apart from doing all the other chores you've got to do in the world that I live in.
Yeah, excellent. Well, glad to have you here, and thank you so much for jumping on and filling in the hot seat for Lance tonight, who wasn't able to make it, and neither could Kim. So we're totally thrilled that you are here for your very first Triple Tap. So welcome. Ken, I know you're always busy. How's your week been, very quickly?
It's been fantastic. It's been a bit up and down. We've had some difficult challenges in the executive. We've overcome those challenges because we haven't given up. We don't drop the ball. And like the old saying that my grandmother taught me when I was a little kid, if at first you don't succeed, try again. So we've sorted out a lot of things. I had a fantastic day today. I met with wonderful people in a town very close to me. The Awake group, Stand in the Park. We've got a group of people there who are fighting what the government is doing with fire ants and their indiscriminate spraying of people's properties from helicopters, etc., etc. It's been a fantastic time bringing all of the freedom groups together, and I'm certain that that's going to be something that Australia gets into this year. No more room for silliness. It's time that the people who are the workers of this country, who really genuinely want freedom and are not prepared to put up with little jockey type people who think they're prime ministers, preparing legislation to lock people up for 3 years if they have a different opinion to the government and they're prepared to stand up and talk out about it. So we've got that tyranny to fight, and we will not win unless we join together as a people. So looking forward to having that happen. So much else going on in TAP. But the most important thing we need to do right now, Ainsley, I'll get back to you without further ado.
Thank you, Ken. Yes, it has certainly been a bit of a topsy-turvy week. And I like that saying that you say. It reminded me of something that my mentor twisted that up a little bit. And it's like, you get what you get and you negotiate the rest. But of course, in my warrior training, we have a great saying whenever there's trials and tribulations and challenges that come our way. And I think in life, they are always going to come our way, and it's how we navigate them that makes a difference. And we say over and under, around and through, whatever it takes, we can do. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm super excited tonight because the gentleman that I'm about to introduce to you, I've been wanting to get on Triple Tap for a while, and it's really quite uncanny how we met. And he's never met me before tonight, but I know about him, and I'd like to share how I met him just after I introduce him and we bring him onto the call. I'm super pumped that he's finally come to join us. This man, Ian Clark, has had 16 years of definitive research and application, and is sharing the most advanced information on how to literally stop the body from aging. Wouldn't that be nice? This also involves how to self-heal all injuries while correcting structural adhesions and distortions. And since this is dealing with the human body directly, seeing really is believing. And there is clear evidence backing up the realities around how this all works. This also involves high level, this is my favorite area, mental wellness, emotional resets, and trauma deletion. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what Ian has to share on that. Stopping the aging process, correcting injuries, and supporting the best dental health, and all totally affordable across the board for all enthusiasts who are willing to step up and invest a small amount of time, energy, and resources to enjoy profound results. And anyone at any age can learn this. And the earlier in life this is implemented, the better it is. And whilst he may be 65 years young, he says that he is healthier than ever, healthier now than he ever was when he was 25 years of age. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute pleasure. And without further ado, let's welcome Ian Clark to the call tonight. Ian, turn your camera on, my friend, and let's hear your story.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. This is going to be a fun interview for sure.
Yeah, well, just so the people know how I met you, because you're probably wondering what this crazy girl from down under, from a movement that you've probably never heard of before, because, ladies and gentlemen, Ian is not from Australia, but his son is in Australia. And it was very uncanny how I got connected to Ian, because I have a very long history from a young age of issues with my mouth. I've had teeth removed to have braces at 8. I've had 4 wisdom teeth removed at 21. 2 years ago, I had diagnosed with severe periodontal disease, which has caused this, to me, a horrible gap within my teeth that I hate profusely. So I can't do anything about it right now. And I had 4 teeth removed and bone. So I've gone through a lot of healing over the last 2 years. And then just last year, after sharing my story with a young man in a training group that I'm involved with, where I'm learning all about my equity and my trust, I was sharing that my partner has watched a lot of your videos, Ian, that you do with Tom Barnett. And he happened to be sharing one of your videos about, you were talking about your journey with your mouth and the issues that you had and experienced. And it really resonated with me. And I was really, really excited about that. When I was sharing then with this young man called Anthony, I was sharing him about what I'd seen and sharing my health journey. And obviously I know Anthony's into health. And we were chatting, and he said, well, describe the man in the video. And obviously I went on to describe you. And I laughed and I joked and I said, oh, why is that your dad? Not realizing that it was indeed, you are Anthony's father. And so that's how obviously we got connected. And then again, just before Christmas, another connection, another lady provided me with some lovely products, but she also sent me a video. And in this video, you talked about a little product, which I've got a sample of, and I'll get you to talk about later on this evening, just so people know what it does. And the video she happened to send me was, again, you talking about this. So it's really uncanny how you just keep coming up in front of my face, and it's all to do with health and dental wellness, and how important the mercury, removing the mercuries are, which hopefully you will get to touch on tonight among those other areas that you want to delve into. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started on this journey.
Yes, well, my journey started when I was 46 years old, as far as getting into the proper management of my body, as far as supporting my body's ability to stay alive. I was threatened with 3 different things that were going to terminate my physical life around 49 years old. So I had about a 3-year window when I started to find out what was wrong with me. And I had a large tumor that was growing in the bottom of my abdomen. I had major liver problems, and I had some heart disease going on. So all these alarms went off, and I was living in Toronto at the time, and all the doctors were, telling me all these things that I had to do, these procedures and surgeries and drugs and whatever they were going to want to put me on. And it totally turned me off because, well, I was afraid of, obviously my health situation, but I found that they were all guessing, and they didn't really care, because they have so many people who come to their office, whether it's a specialist or whatever. And I even had to wait like 6 weeks to get appointments sometimes. And then when I would get the appointment, they would be guessing. And then I kept asking everyone, why do I have these things going on? There's got to be a reason. And the common answer in that world is that statistically, some people are genetically predisposed to having, maybe their body is not that strong, and I can get affected much more than other people when I'm exposed to different things. And it just turned me off because they couldn't tell me why. They just kept saying I was a statistic, but that didn't help me. And the one thing that I remembered very clearly is that 26 years before that, when I was 20 years old, both of my uncles on my mom's side died at 51 and 54 years old, both of cancer.
Mm.
And they did exactly what the doctor said. One died within 3 months because he was so full of cancer when they discovered it that it was over. The other one took a full year, and he went through every single protocol, like the surgeries, the chemo, the radiation, more surgery, and so on, until he got down to a skeleton, literally, in 1 year, and then died a horrible death. And it didn't make sense to me at the time in 2004 that I thought, well, in this world we live in now, there must be different ways. It can't be that terrible thing where an advisor and someone giving you treatments guarantees you a funeral, and they were right on time. And if they didn't do the treatment, that they would die even sooner. Well, my one uncle. Anyway, I was like, wow, is this my turn? This can't be my turn. And I woke up one morning, and sometimes, like, when we wake up in the mornings, thoughts flood into your mind. It was just this realization that there were people on the earth somewhere who knew the answer that I needed on how to stop whatever was happening and to fix my body so I wasn't going to be taken out in the next 36 months. And that it wasn't going to be medical procedures. But that didn't really help me a lot, but it gave me a little bit of hope immediately, because of course there people have to exist on the earth. Somewhere in the 7 billion, 8 billion people, whatever they say there is on the earth. But I don't know who they are. I have no idea where they are. And I don't know how to find them. But I want to find them. I would love to. If I could be led to them, because that's really the only way you can find people, is being led, because it was a needle in a haystack. I would be really open to doing whatever it takes. Whatever money it costs, and I didn't have any money. I just gone through a bankruptcy at that time because I'd had a business failure. But I would, whatever it cost, whatever I'd have to suffer at, however much fun I would have to have, I would go anywhere. I would listen to people if they had the truth, and then I would do what I was being instructed to do. So it was like, I'm all in, whatever it takes. And that was a bit of a daunting thing to say, because I had a feeling I was going to go through some pretty heavy duty suffering to get to where I wanted to go. And that was very true. And it ended up just slowly beginning to happen, where I started going through iterations of learning. So fast forward to today, I learned so much in the last 16 years by just paying attention to synchronicities. When I was being led or I was introduced to somebody, I would listen very intently. I realized that the people that we all meet in our life, we don't really know very many people. We meet 200 or 300 people that we actually get to know, that those people are super important. Mm. And it doesn't matter what level of society they're at or what their religion or race is, it's irrelevant. Though each individual is so important. And when I started giving people respect and honor them to listen and pay attention, it all started just working out. So now all the information that is this massive amount of information that you can be subjected to in the natural healing world had to be defined until it came to the definitive things that actually move the needle and unlock these big locks that are keeping us from staying alive on the earth in our physical body. So if I could go back now, because I'm turning 65 in June, if I could go back to my 46-year-old self, I would be out of the woods in 6 months. But back then it took from 2004 to 2011 until I was in what was called, which is really boring, the clinical medical range of safety. My tumor was dissolved completely out of my body just through protocols of detox. My heart disease was gone. My liver numbers came right back to where they're supposed to be. And at that point, I thought, okay, so this is interesting. How healthy can we actually get? And is it possible, or would it be too good to be true? But is it possible that it would not cost any money to actually be super healthy if I had the real true information of how to manage my own body? And it was this thing that maybe it's true. Maybe it is true. Maybe I would spend less money than I've ever spent in my life less than I'm spending at normal life, and still be able to achieve longevity with the highest quality of health, and then just keep on living. Because if you can get your body to stop aging and dying, then you just keep on living. And if you notice in society, you have the mainstream of people who are not really health conscious at all. They eat all the branded foods. They go to all the branded fast food restaurants. They don't concern themselves about health conscious things. They don't do supplements. They don't meditate. Maybe they exercise, but they live till they're 50 years old, 60, 70, 80, 90, and even they make it sometimes to 100. Now, their quality of life may not be the best, but they still make it a long time. And then you have health conscious people, and I started looking at statistics around that and found out that all the health conscious people die at the same kind of rate, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Some of them make it to 100. And there's something missing. It was this big gap. Like, what's going on? A health conscious person will live 6 to 8% longer than a mainstream, normal, regular person in the matrix. So what's wrong with that? It was like really messed up. Now they'll have a higher quality of life because they're not poisoning themselves every day. But what was the main thing missing? Those keys came in. The keys to unlock those locks have come in, and they're now a reality right here live tonight. So that's why I would be able to go back to my 46-year-old self and be within 6 months fixed. And it literally cost millions of dollars to learn. And I found out about marine phytoplankton back in 2007. That was 3 years into this process. And when I started consuming it, I noticed it was charging up my body like a battery. Like I just felt like my internal battery was being charged and I didn't know why. And I started telling people about it. And that generated $2.8 million in sales out of the basement of our house in Toronto in the first 24 months. And that then powered us with a little bit of money to be able to do more research. From then on, it was literally millions of dollars were generated, which we kept putting right back into research instead of taking the money and trying to be rich or whatever. There's no such thing as rich anyway. But putting all those resources back in, that's how I ended up being able to travel and meet people on a very gentle, organic basis, not trying to push or pull or anything, and just being guided to the final information, which I'm now able to share with the world.
Fantastic.
It is fantastic. Ian, what was the first big breakthrough that really meant something to you in terms of health? I asked that question because my wife and I've been through health journeys. Everyone who's listening tonight will have been through some sort of health journey. Mm-hmm. And over a period of about 10 years, I nearly lost my wife 3 times. And so I'm just curious, what was the first big thing that made a massive difference in your health?
Well, I think it was like sort of a revelatory thing where I found out that our human bodies are so sophisticated, so intelligent, and so capable of healing themselves, because your body is always wanting to heal itself. Yep. Like you get a cut, it just wants to heal it. You break a bone, it wants to heal it. It just immediately starts working.
It does.
And that if we could find the truth about how to support those systems, that the body will totally heal on its own. But we have to support it because we have so many things coming against us. And I started to do research into what was coming against us. And most of it's in the invisible world. And I'm not just talking about spiritually. Of course, there's a spiritual component to that. But I'm talking about the literal physical world of invisible things that we're breathing all day long that we don't think about. And that if we could support our body, number one, to detox, that it will continue to live. And that it is actually the biggest breakthrough, I would say, as a result of realizing that, is that it's my responsibility to take care of that. It's me. I'm the problem. If I don't know, I was my worst problem because I wanted to blame everybody. The doctors don't know what they're doing, and the stupid education system and the religious system. And I wanted to blame anything, but I couldn't. I didn't want to blame myself. I didn't want to blame anybody. I just wanted to take responsibility because I'm the one that's going to pay the price if I don't. And I'm the one that's going to get the reward if I do. So everything we're doing either has a price attached to it that's down the road that we can't afford, or everything we do has a reward attached to it that we're going to be so thankful for when we get to reap what we sow, because everybody's planting seeds all the time and getting a harvest. And I had the ugliest harvest on earth when I was 46 years old to have to reap every bit of it. And at the same time, I had to learn how to plant good seeds, because it's going to take years for those seeds to come to maturity that are going to be good. So it's this whole thing of, it's my responsibility, dude. Do not blame yourself and do not blame anybody else. Just take responsibility, belly up to the bar, and get real. Because if you don't, you're out of here. And our 1/3 of us is a physical body. And we have to maintain that to get into equilibrium, to be able to continue living and stay on mission. Because one of the things I knew, I had a mission. You know, we're all missionaries, right? And that's not a religious term. Anybody who has a mission is a missionary, and a missionary is driven by their mission, that they want to be there to be part of the fulfillment of it. And so that's like, we got to stay alive. The older you get, the more valuable you are to the earth, to the world around you. And so you don't want to have any kind of early termination. And when you can figure out how to get your body to live for hundreds of years, now you're able to be relaxed. Then you can get into your mission. You don't have to worry about government shutting you down or any of those kind of things, because you're on mission. And my universe is where I live. I have 100% control of my universe. I'm 100% responsible for it. Now, if I say, well, look out there, 1% of the population controls 99% of the wealth. It's so terrible. I could take that approach, or I can say, but no, I'm not in their universe. That's their universe. That's their belief. That's what they do. In my universe, I control 100% of the wealth in my universe.
Nice.
Right? You all do.
A great reframe.
I do. I control 100% of the wealth in my universe. And
Yes.
I've had that mindset for quite some time now, and it totally changed my life. Jeff, I'm going to throw you right on the spot, mate, and give you like 5 seconds to formulate a question and jump in. When you're on Triple Tap, Jeff, you don't just get to sit there comfortable, mate. Come on, it's time for you.
I'm paying attention.
Trust me, I am too. And some of the things that Ian has said have struck such a deeper chord with my personal journey in life. I spent quite a few years, Ian, living and working in very remote, pristine parts of Australia. And while I was out there, I noticed massive jumps in my vitality just from being away from a capital city. Certainly the capital cities in Australia are nothing like capital cities from around the rest of the world. But in terms of pollution, there can still be a congestion of pollution that people live in. And so being in those pristine places, I saw, the energy that came into me from that. And now I got rid of any of my attachment to cities, and I now live in a very beautiful, pristine part of Australia. And and consequently, health for me through the roof. But still a long journey to go on, and I want to learn more. Jeff, I'll go for it, mate.
It's pretty pertinent. Actually, this week I was reading in the Natural Health Society specifically about what some of the causes of cancer, and of course there are many that are unseen, but it was suggesting that it's about 70 to 80% of cancer is caused from toxins built up in the body. So it's definitely a key to detoxifying the body. So can you just take me through what you started with? So was it a marine plankton you're talking about, Ian?
Yeah, that was the beginning. That was a little bit of a kickstart of a nutrient that has every nutritional molecule in it. That's actually still our main product in our company. It's called Oceans Alive. And I learned that the ocean has all the wealth for our health is in the ocean. And I'm not talking about eating seafood. I'm talking more about the elemental stuff. But I was sort of given a little bit of a clue to that to start with. I learned about all kinds of detox protocols, like a whole ton of them. Everything from brutal, like kind of low vibe detoxes that throw you into Herxheimer and make you feel sick for a week, all the way up to the highest levels of the proper way to detox your body, which I now know currently. And And there's this whole spectrum. And so if you don't tap into the totally maximized detox protocol that's the easiest on your body, that's the most effective, then you're going to struggle. And everyone struggles with that. I struggled with it for years. And I had to go through those struggles to appreciate when the really true things came in, because I don't think I was mentally or emotionally ready to be told the truth back in those days. It would have been too much for me. Like, what? It would have just kind of over my head because it was too simple, because I was looking for all these different really cool things to do. So yeah, detox, you're hitting it right on the head. That is number one above everything else. And so the golden question is, how do you actually detox properly, where you don't harm yourself? Because a lot of detox protocols do great harm.
So where do we go to find out about that, Ian? Where do we go to find out about this proper, safe, harmless way to detox?
Right. Well, that's the most, I would say, where we would start now. I can tell you really, really quickly what it is. It's very simple. It's completely the opposite of everything we have been told in our entire life. We're told our bodies are 80% water, and everyone knows and believes that our bodies are 80% water, right? Have we all heard that?
Yep.
Well,
is that what you guys are taught?
I've heard varying figures, but yeah, they're all around there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's 100% false information. That is not the truth at all. There's not a speck of truth in that. And you don't have any water in your body. So you have electrolytic fluid. You have blood, lymph, mucus, interstitial fluid, intercellular fluid, tears, saliva. You have anything but water in your body. But if you believe you have water in your body, then you're going to be drinking a whole bunch of water trying to keep your water supply up. And when you do that, well, actually, the only time you actually have water in your body is when you drink a glass of water, H2O, and it goes into your stomach. You have water in your body for 20 minutes, and it immediately becomes electrolytic fluid as soon as it enters your digestive and your bloodstream. Now, what is electrolytic fluid? Electrolytic fluid is fluid that is blended in a perfect matrix of electrolytes, but we don't have enough electrolytes. So the more water you drink, the more you're demanding your body to give to that water electrolytes. There's a law in the universe, it's called osmotic transfer. Your body has no choice but to donate electrolytes into that water, and then you pee it out of your system. The more you do that, the more dehydrated you become. And if you notice that people, as they age, they start to shrivel. They start to get stiff. They can't move as well. Their mobility goes down. Their brain function eventually goes down if they get old enough. And then people get Alzheimer's and dementia, and they get their telomeres shrink because they're shriveling up from dehydration. So if you want to dehydrate your body very quickly, drink more water. So I don't drink any water at all, none. I do take the base of pure water, and I will take a liter, for example, and I will put 1 teaspoon of unrefined sea salt that comes from a pristine part of the world where there's no microplastics or heavy metals, and it's the proper spectrum. It doesn't have, like a lot of sea salt will have up to 99% sodium chloride. You want to have the sea salt that's around 73, 74% sodium chloride because you need that. That's your main fuel. But you want to have magnesium and calcium. There's 90 different elemental electrolytes in sea salt. Now, why the ocean? Why do you have to go to the ocean to get it? Because for thousands of years, and the longer time went on, the earth has been getting raining on all the soil continuously for thousands of years. Every single year, the more the distilled water from the evaporated water falls and condenses on the earth, it washes the minerals out of the soil into the water table, out into little streams, rivers, and tributaries, and it carries all of it out to the ocean. So we're losing our minerals in our soil. That's why our food doesn't have proper mineralization. That's why it's popular to go and get seawater and dilute it way down and foliar apply it to crops because it helps them grow better and be stronger and have a higher bricks content. That's a whole nother story. But we're so far behind the 8 ball to try to go to the ocean and water our crops and the grasses that the animals eat. It's way too long of a process. You literally have to go now to the ocean, get the salt, and the formula is simple. 1 teaspoon dissolved fully into 1 liter of water. And for every 50 pounds of body weight you have, you drink 1 liter per day. And this, what it does is it puts an extra amount of plasma into your system, which is the best quality electrolytic fluid. Nobody has got it in their body. I do, but nobody knows this. And you can take a little bit of sea salt, put it in your food. You can do it. It's not going to do it. You need 1 pound per month for the average 150-pound person. This is your fuel. When you have the right amount of fluid in your system, you have the right amount of lymph, blood, because otherwise you're dehydrating, you don't have enough. I put 10 pounds of body weight on in the first month when I discovered this, but my body did not gain anything in size whatsoever. I was missing that much electrolytic fluid out of my system. I've never gained any weight since. I just was missing that. And so boom, I was at 157, which is my optimal body weight when I'm supporting myself properly with eating good food. It doesn't go up or down at all. And then all of a sudden it was at 167 in 1 month. And I was like, oh, cool. And my brain power increased significantly. But what that allows your body to do is to detox. Your blood gets to detox because your body intelligence says, oh no, you can't lose any fluid. We don't have enough as it is. So your body can't properly detox your bloodstream. But once you start dumping toxins finally out of your bloodstream because your body's going, okay, I'm good. Now I've got enough fluid to work with. You can dump because you're going to keep putting more in. That's good. And then you start to detox from the blood. It's incredible. You got to buy a toilet brush when you do this. Okay. You get the picture?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna be dumping a lot in the first couple of months. And it takes a year to fully hydrate. So that's quite a while for a person my age. It's a year. Now, the younger they are, they can hydrate faster because they're not like an old fossil. You know, as healthy as I am and as vibrant as I became, I was missing this one major key.
Wow.
And I found out, oh, I'm dehydrated. So my blood pressure goes up. Of course, your blood pressure is going to go up. You have more blood to pump through. But then as the electrolytes go in, it softens your whole system. It gets your cardiovascular system back like a 25-year-old. It gets your muscles relaxed. Everything fills up. Your brain power comes on like full tilt. It doesn't matter that my blood pressure went up. That's only a temporary thing. Because after you go through the roller coaster ride and get the electrolytic fluid in, everything softens, and then the blood pressure goes right back down to normal athletic levels for the rest of your existence. Because you have, it's just.
Can I just interrupt? So are you suggesting it starts reversing some of the fibrotic parts of our body, i.e. our lungs, for example? Are you suggesting it'll?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Very much. Your respiratory, good thing you mentioned lungs. Your respiratory system is super critical. What is the one thing you do most in your life is you think. You think more than anything. You have a billion thoughts every millisecond happening in your automatic operation. So your body's thinking, automatic thoughts, everything. It takes 80,000 thoughts to touch a index finger to your thumb. And I can sit here and we can twiddle our thumbs all day long and keep talking. It's all automated. So your body's hyper intelligent. You think more than anything. The second thing you do more than anything is you breathe. You're breathing 11,000 liters of air a day. So how important are your lungs?
Very.
Right. What is inside the air you're breathing? Well, there's oxygen, nitrogen, but what is really inside the air? What, can you think of stuff that's inside the air?
Still trying to work that out, aren't we?
Toxins, pollution, breathing into our lungs.
More pollutants than we can even imagine. Because the air that we're sitting in the room, everybody look at the air around them. There's nothing in the air, right? You breathe it in, oh, nice clean air. Okay, but when you get a microscope and you look at the air, you see a whole bunch of particles in it. Wow, I didn't know that was there. I can't see it with my eyes, can't smell it, can't taste it. I can't sense it. But under a microscope, it's millions of little particles. Then you get a nanoscope, which is 1,000 times smaller than micro. Now you're seeing all the rubber dust from the 10 billion pounds a year in the United States alone. I don't know what it is in Australia, but all the rubber dust from the tires that has rubbers, epoxies, resins, metals, chemicals. It wears off the tires and it spins a mile and a half above the highway, unseen. It's not on the road anywhere. And based on the number of tires sold and the thickness of the tread, this is just one thing, right? And the size of the tires, an 18 on every truck. it's releasing that into the atmosphere. Those are nanoparticles. So you get a nanoscope, there's trillions of particles of rubber dust in the air that we're breathing right in this room. And then you get brake dust. Then you have all your volatile organic compounds that are another whole thing, from all the painting of buildings and cars and equipment and manufacturing. Then you have your industrial waste, pollutants from unburned fuel. So these are the things that are in every liter of air you're breathing. This is a very weird age. So the further you are away from society and industry and highways, the less you're going to have, but you're still going to have it. Now, since World War II, they were burying bodies when they would die, human bodies, but now they incinerate, cremate 80% of the bodies that are dying now. All those bodies are being incinerated in our neighborhoods. If you type on Google Maps, look for the crematoriums, how close they are to where you live. They're all around you. And they can't stop the off-gassing of the human bodies. There was more nanoparticulates that have chemotherapy, drugs, pharmaceuticals, metals, all the crap that the body absorbed their whole life is now burned. The ashes don't go out the stack, but the gas does. So that's what we're actually breathing. Yeah. So your respiratory system has to be kept super clean. Your body can detox all of it. But if you're dehydrated, like everyone is dehydrated, you have an accumulation of these things. That's why everybody dies around the same time, health conscious or not, because they're dehydrated, because everybody's drinking water and they're trying to find the best crystalline, structured, high pH water. It doesn't help you. If you don't have the electrolytes in the water, when you drink electrolytic fluid, no more water, right? You drink the electrolytic fluid, it donates to your system, and it takes a year to rehydrate and to become a super detoxification biological organism. That's the real truth. That's the biggest key to the biggest lock that gets you to stop aging, regardless of how much you're exposed to, because your body can eliminate it all. Cool. But it's a process.
I'd just like to shift gears if I can, because I know we're already halfway through. You talk a little bit about metals and whatnot, and I know one of the other areas that you're quite passionate about is mercury, amalgams and things like that. And I know a lot of people have had that growing up in an era where that's what they put in your mouth when you had holes, and I had a whole mouthful of them. Can we sort of have a bit of a discussion about the importance of getting those out of one's body? Because I know I had a couple that were leaking, slow leaking, didn't really realize it, but over the years started to get a lot of fatigue and wondered why I was really tired. And yeah, if you could just give us your take on the importance of getting those amalgams out of our bodies.
Yeah, well, first of all, it is the most toxic non-radioactive metal on Earth. And it's really important to get them drilled into your teeth, because once you get the amalgams in your teeth, then every time you have anything warm, or you chew, or you drink a coffee or anything warm, then that can help the mercury methyl off gas and the quadrillions of nanoparticles straight up into your brain, and it gets to fill your body. It's very important to get mercury fillings installed into your mouth, as many as possible, because they super damage your ivories, because they have no adhesive, and they got to drill really good bone out when they put them in, and they wedge them in. And it's so important to get that done that the American Dental Association and all the dental associations around the world found out that these are the strongest, most beneficial, most healthy type of fillings to put in your mouth. And they do no harm at all. There's no problem. It does not affect your body. You're not going to be in any way debilitated by those. They prefer those over everything else, and you should definitely be getting mercury fillings in. I suggest it to everybody. If you can get as many teeth drilled as possible, get as much mercury in there, because that's a really major health product. Because, it makes you some bionic person, right? And this is literally the messaging that they gave us, and they drilled the stuff into our mouth. And it's the most volatile place you could put the most toxic non-radioactive metal on Earth. And don't just put mercury in. You got to mix it with some nickel and some other different dissimilar metals, so that when it goes in your mouth, it goes with the saliva and creates a battery. And as soon as you have a little bit of electrical charge in your mouth, then it can off gas 10 times more. And if they put gold in, I've got gold fillings, the gold makes it another 10x on top. People are so proud of their gold fillings. No. So I'm being very sarcastic, obviously, but You should never have your tooth drilled to start with. Teeth should never be drilled. If they would have taught us how to care for our teeth, you would never have decay. You would never get a cavity. The moment a dentist drills even one of your teeth, they own that tooth. And they know that. They don't care if you come back to them or not. They know that if they can get a tooth drilled, that's going to proliferate their industry. Even with white fillings, composite fillings, it's the same thing. Because you're going in, it's not as bad as mercury, obviously, but they're going in and they're removing the foundation of the tooth, which is in the center of the tooth. That's the foundation. They're drilling right into the foundation. Then the walls will break eventually. And then you need to have, a cap or a root canal, which are death on wheels. So it's the most deadly thing ever. This is the stupidest thing. It's the least common sense thing. And everybody should have woken up to that immediately. Like, you're not going to put dissimilar metals in my mouth and create methyl mercury that's going to mess with my neurons in my brain 24 hours a day for the rest of my life. And you bet they leak. And I put a little link there earlier that I shared with you guys on Evidence of Harm. It's one of the best documentaries. So rather than me continue to talk about how bad mercury is, watch the documentary. That will completely turn all the lights on. And then how do you get them out safely? How do you get them out of your body, and how do you detox the methyl mercury that permeated your body? And my body was flooded with this stuff. I did have all my teeth drilled when I was in my teens. All the ones from here back on the bottom and all the ones from here top back filled and drilled out several times and replaced over the course of time. And I was hyper poisoned with mercury, which made me a little bit of an insane person. I had anger issues.
I haven't had as much as you, Ian. I haven't had as much as you done, but I've had 4 ripped out and I've had 7 amalgams out. Maybe that makes me a little bit crazy, Ken. Maybe that explains things. But thankfully to Anthony and his lovely heart and some of the products that Activation gives, I've been able to get on a journey of healing. I'm obviously not out of it. I don't know if periodontal disease, yes, I know that can be reversed, but I don't know if gaps that are causing between the teeth can be reversed. I'd like, if you may, talk about this amazing product that got given to me by Anthony that you guys do called Solaris. Can you give a little bit of information about the Solaris product? And I'm going to do some shameful plugging, guys, because I've been using this product for healing.
Just before we go, Solaris, sorry to jump in there, Ainsley. Ian, what's the name of that documentary again, mate? We can put that up.
Evidence of Harm. You put it up again.
Thank you. Evidence of Harm. Okay, cool.
Yes.
The link's up, Ken.
Yep. So Solaris.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Solaris is a super unique blend. I ran into it in 2016, and it was like one of these, like, it's way too good to be true products. It does everything, right? So I'm like, okay, let's find out what it really does. So I between 2016 and 2020, I simply bought a whole bunch of it. And I gave it out to a whole bunch of people just to sample. That's how we do things, because we get immediate feedback that way. And it did so many wonderful things. But the coolest thing about Solaris when it comes to mercury fillings is it's rosemary, thyme, and clove, but it's the whole plant, and it's all the plant esters and everything that's drawn out of it. It's an ancient Ayurvedic blend of herbs that works to turn material within your body into inert matter. So there's a lot of things that you can chelate metals with, EDTA and DMSA, and there's all these harsh ways of getting it out that strips your body of other things that you don't want to lose. And there are other products that cage, maybe they'll pull it out of the gut, but then they'll release it into the brain. Mm-hmm. So what this stuff does, all you do is just add it to water and you drink it. Swishing it in the mouth when you have a mercury filling in it, I have never done a study on that. But it will turn whatever's there inert, and so it can't harm you. The most important thing is you get things out safely. And when I saw what this does with metals, like we had an accident happen with this product and a piece of equipment. It wasn't my equipment, but I didn't know this company was going to do this. This is a skincare product, but you just put the tiniest little bit in your cream and then you can use it. They were putting it in this ultrasound gel. When people do ultrasound treatments on the face, and they have these super expensive $15,000 medical grade stainless steel head, and they were putting this into the gel thinking that it was going to be sort of a double thing. It destroyed the face of the head within a month. It cost them $15,000, and they were trying to blame me for it. And I mean, I never told you to put it in the gel. I didn't know that, right? That's how powerful the stuff is. It dissolves the metal into an inert matter, and then your body can eliminate it. So that's just one of the things it does. It also goes after fungus, which is fungal infections come from heavy metal poisoning, because the heavy metals are distracting your antibodies that would normally get rid of the fungus with the metals. They're looking at the metals, wondering what's this doing here, and that's why heavy metals are so distracting to the body. But yeah, anyway, it helps with cellular function, helps with detox, and you can use it externally as well on many different things.
Are you saying that? Sorry, to interrupt there, Ian. Are you saying that will get rid of bacterial overgrowth in the digestive tract as well from?
Yes, yeast overgrowth. Yes, it does very well. It's super efficient at that, without wrecking all your friendly bacteria.
And that would go from upper colon to the lower colon?
Yeah, it just goes through. It depends. As it's going through your system, it's going to be used up for the most important stuff, because it does burn up with use, right? So if somebody's really toxic, they can do 10 drops 3 times a day in a glass of water. And that's it, in a glass of electrolytic fluid, of course, right? But what I do with it to get it into my system, I don't put it. A lot of people just put it in water and drink it. I get a small little bit, like a 1 ounce of water, 10 drops in. I shoot it back and then down with the electrolytic fluid right behind it. That gets it in the system. You don't really want it hanging in your mouth. You've noticed that it kind of freezes your mouth, right, Ainsley?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't like that sensation. Right. But if you have a really bad, like if you had a decayed tooth that was getting an infection, you can drop it straight on that tooth. It'll take the pain away because it numbs it. Yeah. And it also goes in and does remedial stuff.
Yeah. I think I've got residual like metal taste in my mouth quite a bit. And so when I was starting to take that along with the other things that I'm doing, like the black seed cumin oil and all that sort of stuff, I know it's going to take a little while for it to feel good, but I know that I'm in good hands with all the people that are looking after me. One of the other products that he gave me that I'd love you to talk about also is coriander oil. I know you guys do that as well. Could you give us a little bit of insight into the benefits of the coriander oil?
Yeah, well, this is a food grade certified organic coriander oil, and it is pressed from, but certain coriander has very little oil, and we find the ones that they come out of India is grown in really beautiful soil over there, very rich soil, and so it has enough oil in it that we can press it out. So it's not like a volatile CO2 extract that's very harsh. This is very gentle. So what it's known for is getting heavy metals out of the brain. It's able to get them out of there. And it also works with gut health. So a lot of people who have had even up to Crohn's disease will dose this for a period of time, and that will bring the Crohn's disease way, way, way down. I don't say it cures it, but it brings it under control so there's no more symptoms. And it's also an insurance thing that you want to take. If you ever get food poisoning, you take 1 teaspoon, it's quite a bit of the bottle, but it's only a 1-shot thing. And you're not going to get food poisoning ever or very often, hopefully. And you put 1 teaspoon in your mouth and swallow it. And within 15 minutes, the food poisoning is neutralized. So it's kind of, very interesting product.
Now, you guys do something quite different with your pressing of your oils, don't you? You have a special press with your oils, don't you?
Yeah, the press technology is advanced so that it doesn't have the damage that normal cold expeller pressers do to oils. So there's no shearing or grinding or friction that shears the molecules of the oil. So it keeps the oil in its original state that's coming out of the seed. And I'm not a huge proponent of consuming a lot of seed oils because I don't think the body requires that. These are therapeutic level. So like, for example, the black cumin for you would only do 1 teaspoon a day of this. After you pick it after 1 meal, you chew it for a minute to fix your dental problems because it does so many wonderful things for your dental. Gargle in the back of the throat for 15 seconds and then wash it down with a little bit of electrolytic fluid behind it just to get it out of your throat. You do that once a day. That's all you need. Like, your body doesn't want you to have large volumes. The estimate is maximum 1% seed oils in your diet of what you're consuming in your body, of any seed oils that you'll choose.
Yeah.
So,
That's food for, right? Polyunsaturated fatty acids is where you're going to with that. Is that correct, Ian?
Yeah, well, just in general, oils, the body loves animal fats. It doesn't like seed oil fats. It just doesn't, over time, and especially most of the seed oils I found in the market, things that are in hummus and and potato chips or, organic corn chips. They're all adulterated. They've all been over processed, and who knows how they've made the stuff, but it's just your body is not liking it. It's inflammatory. It just irritates your body. So the less the better.
I was reading a bit about, have you ever heard of Ray Peat at all?
Oh yes, definitely.
Just passed away, unfortunately, but I've read a lot of his stuff, and he talks about PFAS, polyunsaturated fatty acids, and how they have an extra hydrogen bond, and your body just can't process it correctly. So it stores it and it becomes toxic in the body. So what you're saying, I agree 100%. You don't want too much of it. Probably 1% is probably what we get. Well, most people get a lot more than that, of course. And then that becomes toxic.
Right. Well, it's plowed into everything now.
Absolutely.
Well, most of the organic foods and canola oil and all the rest of it. Like it's so right. I just stay away from it all. And it's and this stuff unglues you, because if you get plugged up with this hydrogenated garbage, right, that you're talking about with this extra hydrogen bond, it messes with you. This stuff goes and dissolves it out, because you can put this on glue, like a really, one of those, you take a label off and you can't get the glue off. You put this on, it's dissolved within 2-3 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. For all our listeners who are listening tonight, hopefully you're absolutely fascinated by the I could listen to you for hours, Ian. But for those who are interested in any of the products that Ian's company does, they are in the USA, Australia, and Canada. We have put the link in the chat there, and we will put it in the replay when we put it up. It's activationproducts.com. And it is in the chat at the moment. People have been asking, is Solaris available in Australia? And yes, it is. You can get it through activationproducts.com. So yeah, do go check them out. They've got some other amazing products in there as well. But yeah, keep going, guys. We've still got another 8 minutes. We can keep chatting to you with Ian. Kent, have you got any other questions, or Jeff that you'd like to ask Ian?
Well, just going back to your tumor, what did you find that what was the best detox you found for that? Was it the salt water? And just on the salt water, is pickling salts as good as salt water, or is it best? Because I know a lot of the heavy metals have flowed into the oceans. What you were suggesting, most of the farms have lost all their topsoil, right? So and all the chemicals that have been on the farms have all washed into the ocean. So where you're getting your sea salt. So there's two questions, I guess. Where you're getting your sea salt is pure. There's none of the other rubbish that's in there. And pickling salts, I believe, is quite pure as well. So yeah, just a question on that one.
Yeah, well, you really want to get some freshly harvested sea salt that's just done, and then it's in a package. It's stable for 1,000 years at that point, but it's brought out of a pristine part of the ocean. So where this salt comes from in this bottle that I use, it comes from Baja California. Now, I'm certain that it's got to be places in Australia where you can get it, but you've got to look at the assay. If you go to Baja Gold Sea Salt website, they list out all the different comparisons of the different types of sea salts, from even Himalayan they put in there, and Celtic sea salt. But you just look at the list and ask for the assay, and they have to prove that there's no heavy metals and no microplastics. You can test for those things, and that's third-party lab tested. They've got to show you their third-party unbiased test, and you want to have something as close as possible to the Baja Gold. Our plan is to work with that company and bring that to Australia as well. Okay. So I've never seen any salt that was this good. Like I was bringing stuff up from Antarctica. It turned out to be 99.8% sodium chloride. It was so disappointing. It was very pure, but it didn't have the spectrum. When I got a hold of the Baja Gold, that made all the difference. Now, as far as the answer to your tumor, the dissolving of the tumor, because it started growing in 2004 is where I noticed it was about a golf ball size, and it grew up very large, and it was extended right across the bottom of my abdomen. And what I noticed is that when I started to eat really, really clean, and I was drinking a whole bunch of wheatgrass juice at that time, which I don't recommend now because it's so harsh. But I went through these radical protocols. And what happened to the tumor by about 2009, so between 04 and 09, and I never really got going till about 06 to really start to understand, I have fungal infections, I've got yeast overgrowth, I've got heavy metals, wow, I got chemical garbage, and that the tumor was there to protect me, to try to gather that stuff as an elimination thing. But if you let it sit there, of course, and it doesn't get addressed, then it kills you. So it became totally dormant. It went really hard and kind of, and it used to beat with my heart. Every heartbeat, I could feel this thing when I was awake. But then that stopped around 2009. And I thought, okay, well, I guess that's probably it. I'll probably have that for the rest of my life. And it's sitting there like some dormant thing. And then in 2010, the spring of 2010, I ran into a company out of Texas who was buying a thing called silver dihydrogen citrate from a company out of El Cajon, California. And the name of that company is Pro Bioscience. Or no, yeah. Is it Pro or Pure? No, Pure Bio. Pure, it's been a while. Pure Bioscience. You can look them up. And they sell hard surface cleaners. They don't sell anything for consumable. They're forbidden by the FDA to sell anything consumable, even though it's a totally non-toxic product. And when I ran into it, this guy told me, hey, just take some of this stuff, spray it in your mouth, just 7 sprays for an adult, and just do that for a while. And that'll clear your system of all this, any infectious, weird stuff that shouldn't be in your body. It'll go after it and get it out. So I started doing that in spring of 2010. The first day I sprayed it in was the night before I went to bed. I woke up in the morning having a shower, and I noticed that the tumor was getting a little bit larger, but it was a little bit soft, a little bit larger. Every single day that I sprayed this silver dihydrogen citrate in my mouth, only 7 sprays every night, it grew until it was like this big. Within 14 days, I was waddling around with a loose pair of jeans on with this huge stinking thing in between my legs that was blown up like a balloon. And I refused to freak out about it. I thought, it's been dormant for like a year and a half. And now this has got to be the thing that's doing it. So I'm okay with this. This is a totally safe thing. And then around the 15th day when I woke up after spraying the same amount, it was back down to its hard size. It had shrunk right back down. It drained overnight. I don't know, whatever happened. Anyway, I kept spraying it for another couple of weeks, but nothing ever happened again. It never grew up. So I just stopped spraying. And then over the next year, my body just dissolved it all out. And I don't know how that worked. I didn't do anything extra than that. But I have no sign of any tumor whatsoever in my body. And that was attached to my colon. So my colon all healed up. I don't have any leaky gut. I've got no symptoms whatsoever since around the middle of 2011.
Excellent. So your homeostasis kicked in, because if we feed the body, detox it, to feed the body correctly, detox it, our body has this, it fights all the time to stay healthy. And would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, you're 100% right. Yeah, if you like, again, going back to supporting the homeostasis, or you can call it homeodynamics. Stasis is stationary, dynamics are equilibrium. So we're in the flow all the time. Everything is pulsing, our whole body. So I call it homeodynamics. I didn't come up with that. A guy up in Northern California told me that's the proper term.
Ian, we've got a question from one of our listeners, and I'm not quite sure if your organization does this in the 3 areas in the world that you operate, USA, Canada, and Australia. But if people have got stuff, I guess, that they want sorted and they want to know what products they should be taking for whatever's going on for them, does your organization do any like consultations where they can get some advice by speaking to someone?
Yes. Yeah, I do those periodically on request.
Now you're in Canada, right? Does anyone in Australia do it? Say, because a lot of our listeners are obviously from Australia, can they contact your Queensland office, or would they be speaking with you in Canada, or how would that work?
They would call our office in Australia and talk to Anna.
Yeah.
And she makes those arrangements, and we just figure out a time zone that works for everyone.
Okay, cool. All right, guys. Well, we've got about a minute left. Ken or Jeff, have you got any last questions before we ask any last piece of advice from Ian that he would like to leave with our listeners tonight before we go?
Yeah, just one last question. I'll preface it by saying, Jeff, before you were talking about our farmers have lost all their topsoil, mate. Was that code for anything? Like might have lost something off the top? It wasn't a personal thing or anything like that?
No, not at all, mate. Not at all.
Okay, mate. I just thought I could see some envy. You're looking at Ian's beautiful head of hair there, mate, and I'm thinking...
No, I can grow that. I can grow that if I want. I just choose to keep it short.
Fair enough.
There's low maintenance there. That's the best way to maintain
low maintenance.
Excellent.
If you've got time to get detox for some of the stuff that people have taken the last 2 years? What would you suggest, or is these the salt water the right product?
Yes, the salt water and the Solaris combined. Solaris will go right after that stuff.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. You've heard that to help you if you've got stuff in you over the last 12 months. The salt and the Solaris. Your links are in the chat there. We will put them in when we do the replay. We will put them up, and we will put a link to the organization. These guys are doing amazing work around the country and also in the USA and Canada. So look, Ian, I am totally stoked that we have finally got you on our show. Hopefully, I know you've got a wealth of knowledge, because I know my partner sits there and watches all your videos with Tom Barnett. So I know you've got a wealth of knowledge to share. So we might have to organize for more sessions with you in the future. I know it's early over there for you. It's something like crazy, like 5 o'clock in the morning over there. So we really appreciate you waking up and coming to share with all of us your knowledge and your expertise. And thank you very much. Thank you, Kent. Thank you, Jeff, also for being here and for asking of your questions. And thank you to everyone who's joined us on Triple Tap. We appreciate you being here and asking your questions. And we look forward to seeing you next time on Triple Tap. Bye.
Thanks, Ian. Great stuff.
Very good. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Good night, everyone.
Bye, Ian.
Good night.
Bye-bye.